Yo, DM Rodriguez here, and welcome back to Direct Methods. Today I want to talk about the Ripperverse and do comic book companies owe their fans anything? I'll give you a quick answer to that. And to me, no. Comic book companies do not owe their fans anything. All they owe their fans is the product, and the fans they go buy it, and the exchange is even. And I want to give a shout out to Ben Dunn. The man is full of wisdom and knowledge, and if there's anything about the industry that you might not understand or have questions, the man has the answers. He's been in it to win it for over 30 years. He's produced so many great um, intellectual properties, published many comic books, and some of his creations have been adapted into live action. And check him out at Ben Dunn, Arctic Press on YouTube. And yeah, shout out to my man. Now, I wanted to talk about this because 2 months ago, or a couple months ago, the Ripperverse had a Yaira #1 um, comic book competition, a fan art competition that I had entered. And this is the piece right here that I had entered. Alright, and it came out alright. I got 7 characters working on it, and the guidelines were pretty much draw any Ripperverse characters, and shout out to the winners as well. The winners, I saw the 3 winners, or the main 4 winners. Their work is top notch, man. You guys brought the heat. Okay, I don't even know if my work was not rejected. Um, you still probably would have won. You still would have won because they're great work. But for some reason, my work was not considered, and I still, to this day, after a couple months, have not got a response as to why. And I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. There's no nudity, no um, I don't know, obscenities going on here. I think it came out pretty nice. It wasn't colored, but some of the winners of the contest didn't have colored pieces either. Now, if you're interested in knowing um, how I inked this piece here, I use Speedball, Higgins white, and Higgins black. the I like to mix them because you get a nice consistency out of there. The utensils I used are pretty much regular brush, dip pen, micron, and these beautiful Pentel Japanese brushes. I like to use the thick. Um, I like to use the thick brush because the thick brush, you can afford to go really fat as well as very thin. Um, Very thin. The thin lines, they don't give you fat enough fill in, so that's why I prefer these. They go just as thin as the thin lines do, and more. So yeah. Now back to what I was saying. I am going to show you actually how I colored this piece in this video, but I wanted to get to the point. Um, I'm a fan of the Ripperverse. I submitted this piece and I got crickets. I got no response. I waited. I actually submitted it 8 hours before the deadline. And so, you go check the submissions page. They have a submissions page where you can see all the work being submitted in real time. And I'm waiting for mine to pop up, and it's not popping up. Um, by 11:30, it's still not popping up. So I'm wondering to myself, I got other stuff to do. So I'm going to do other stuff. And I wait. Matter of fact, I wait till the next day to check. I'm like, surely it has to pop up, right? So I go check, and it's still not popped up. I'm like, why is my piece not here? What did I do wrong? So of course, I realized, well, it must have been rejected for some reason. And you would figure, by default, without having to ask, that you would get an email saying, "Listen, we we could not consider your submission for reasons A, B, and C, and better luck next time if you follow." Okay, by default. And the reason why I say by default, because I have submitted work before to different companies, and I know Marvel and DC aren't cutting it these days for a lot of people. But back in the early 90s, or hell 80s, when I submitted to them years ago, they didn't owe me this. They did not owe me a reply, but here they gave me one, right? They gave me a price. This is an old address. You're not going to find me at this address, so I'm not doxing myself. Okay, they gave me a reply, and I'm going to show you that reply. And the reason why I'm going to show you this reply is because I think it's important for you to know how negative this was. Okay, thank you for submitting your artwork to Marvel for consideration. While your work shows a great deal of effort and raw talent, you still have some ways to go before you're ready to draw for Marvel Comics. To help you figure out where to concentrate your efforts, here are some specific comments and criticisms. Did Marvel Comics owe me this? No, they did not. They were gracious enough to enlighten me. This is love. All this negative criticism I'm going to read to you now about how much I sucked and what I need to work on was positive criticism. Negative criticism is positive criticism because it's love. They're trying to tell you and give you an insight on what you need to work on. I got crickets from Ripperverse. I got crickets from these guys. So it's like, wow, I'm not getting any love. Do I deserve it? No, of course not. But man, is it appreciated. It is absolutely appreciated. I'm still going to be a fan of it. But I will tell you this. I can say this. Yo, what's up? As a critique, I will say this as a critique of the Ripperverse. Uh, I don't feel any love from it. Listen, I'm not afraid of negative critique. Tell me why, because I suck. That's fine. Work on this, work on that. Thank you. That's love. So what do we say here? You have problems with human proportions and anatomy, and I did. Study human anatomy from construct. And you know what? I'm going to read this to you guys so you know exactly what you need to work on. Okay? And this is not it can be humbling to some people. But to me, this is gold. When I got this didn't do anything but instruct me on how to be better. Okay, this wasn't like, oh, you suck, I work on my stuff and all that. Nah, it was like, wow, oh, snap, I didn't even take that into consideration. This has been something, a guideline, a blueprint that to this day I use. Whenever I work on anything, I keep everything here in mind and I try to avoid, right? Okay. Human anatomy from constructive anatomy books. Study that. Or by drawing from real life. Do not imitate another comic book artist's anatomy. When you master the art of drawing from life, drawing from your imagination will come much easier. And I stress this all the time. Recommended books include Constructive Anatomy by George Brisbane, right? You know who these people are, and Figure Drawing for All It's Worth by Andrew Loomis. The study of anatomy is an ongoing process for all artists. Joe Kubert still sits in on life drawing classes whenever he can. You have problems with perspective and creating the illusion of depth. The illusion of depth can be achieved in many ways by overlapping objects, the correct use of perspective, and by arranging values, light and dark tones, in a progression, dark to light or light to dark. This is gold, right? Many of you would probably see this if they got this kind of rejection, and this is the problem with a lot of us people, a lot of us illustrators, is that we feel as if we are great, right? And when we get a negative criticism, rather than appreciate that to make ourselves better, we get butthurt and we deny it, and we like to oh, well, I didn't. No, that's my style. Man, you ain't got no style. Listen, you got to have more than one style, anyways. Okay, and if that's your excuse for getting rejection, then your problem is really not your work. Your problem is your ego. And you need to take negative criticism as love, as positive. And people are telling you they don't have to. I didn't have to get this letter, right? They didn't have to send me this to let me know what was wrong with my work. No, but they did, and I appreciated that because it only made me better, right? You need to develop a greater mastery of rendering techniques. The line of your drawing does not provide enough information as to how they are to be inked. Of course, this is the old school, you know, way of creating comic books. It's like a assembly line. It's probably today wouldn't matter, but because if you're inking your own stuff, then they could tell you your inks suck. I don't know. Vary your line weight to describe forms and indicate depth. Vary your rendering techniques to describe differences in texture and composition. For instance, the same pencil strokes do not represent skin, cloth, and stone equally well. That is so true. Now, if you didn't think that was enough love, you were wrong. I got more love. Right? More love. Bam. Look at this. This is all love. You need to work, yes, need, right? Not want, need. To work on your body language, expressing a character's emotions and personality through their stance, gestures, and facial expressions. Watch movies to learn how to make your characters act. Don't learn it from comic books. Right? Emphasis on do not. Your storytelling needs work. It is not clear how the information in one panel relates to that in the next. Now, I want to stress this right here to anyone listening. I'm giving you gold right now, right? I'm like tossing pearls, baby, all right, that I got directly from the horse's mouth or whatever, you know. This is something that everyone needs to know, and you don't have to thank me. You don't have to thank me. But listen, objects that will later become important, such as a window that a character will come through, should be visually established before they're important. They should strive, or you should strive, to maximize the information in each panel, such as putting cause and effect in the same panel. For instance, if you show a character shoot a gun in one panel and show a bullet hitting something in the next, that does not establish the distance between the shooter and the object shot. If you put it all in one panel, cause and effect, I would have an idea of the distance. You need to work on your page layouts. Overlapping panels, strange panel shapes, insets, and artsy page designs call attention to themselves and detract from the content of the panels and the flow of the story. Save experiences in artsiness until you've mastered the basics of good, clear storytelling. Alright, now listen up here. Listen up here, because we all need to know this and we all need to keep this in mind when we attempt or start to draw anything. You need to vary the size of your compositional elements more. A very common problem is that certain artists don't pull back enough so we can see the space the characters are in. This is very important. Imagine the difference between drawing a fight in an elevator and a fight in a sports stadium. Too much cropping of figures on a page robs the reader of information, such as if the figure's feet are on the foreground, or on the ground rather, or if he's jumping. Too many close-ups dull the dramatic impact of pulling in close. Too many long shots of tiny figures leave the reader uninvolved. You need to give special attention to faces. You are not keeping a character's likeness the same from panel to panel. Either that or you're not making the heroes good looking enough. It's a visual medium, people. It's a visual medium. Or you're not drawing the heads convincingly from all angles. You should try to be more dynamic. Concentrate on drawing your figures more animated and less stiff. As you can see, you've got your work cut out for you. If you really want to work in comics, you'll stick with it through the hundreds of hours. Listen, he should have said thousands, because that's pretty much what it is. The thousands of hours of practicing and sharpening your drawing and drafting skills. I hope these comments have been useful. Good luck in all your future endeavors. See, now this is love. I did not deserve this wonderfully um, positively negative critique. Right? They could have just gave me crickets, and they like some other companies, right? That I was still am a fan of, right? Rip Reverse, yeah, I said it, right? Love is love, and fans feel it, and I think it's important, and that would be my critique about the Rip Reverse, as far as you know, being a company, and I think it's important for them to realize, that their fans are important, and that even a negative critique is important and is love, and I have no problem with um, a negative critique rather than just silencing crickets. So, all right, right now I'm going to show you how I colored the submission.